Stephen Glosser, 37 years of age, and Caleb Kinsey, 34 years of age, both from Georgia, have been indicted on a slew of charges related to an explosion last year, January the 13th, that police say was an attempt to kill a woman and her child who lived at the home where the blast occurred. So this happened January 13th, 2023, at a home in the coastal Georgia town of Richmond Hill, and that was a property that the female victim and her child had moved into the day prior. Thankfully, nobody was hurt in the explosion, but we can see some of the photos which show that the facade of the house was ripped off. There was significant damage to the interior of the home, but thankfully nobody was hurt. We're not told if the female victim and her child were at home at the time of the explosion, but thankfully, even if they were, nobody was hurt. So why did these scumbags decide to set off an explosion in the female victim's home? Well, one of the two scumbags, we're not told which one, but one of them was in a previous relationship with the female victim. Seemingly, that relationship ended, and one of the two psychos was a little bit upset by that. So what did they do? Well, they formed a plan between them to track and stalk the woman. They found out the address of where she was going to be living. They did that through internet searches, and I'm just going to go on a bit of an interjection there. Seemingly, in America in particular, it is a little bit too easy to track people through the internet. There's all kinds of information on a multitude of different websites, which are legal, that provide way too much information. We know on the internet there are a lot of doxers out there. So this goes beyond doxing, but it does call into question the availability of such information. So anyway, that's a bit of an interjection. Essentially, these two weirdos tracked down her new home and they created a plan to kill, intimidate, harass, or injure the victim. They devised a dramatic and psychotic plan. So listen to this. This sounds like something out of a movie. They planned to shoot arrows into the victim's front door. Then they were going to release a large python into the victim's home. Why would they release a large python into the victim's home? Well, their intention was so that the python could eat the victim's daughter. It just seems a little bit far-fetched to me, but seemingly that's what these two psychos devised. Doesn't end there. They planned to scalp the victim, remove the flesh from the top of her head, and they also planned to blow up the victim's home. Now that part did happen. So again, Stephen Glosser, 37 years of age, Caleb Kinsey, 34 years of age, face a litany of charges including stalking, use of an explosive to commit a felony, and possession of an unregistered destructive device, seemingly a bomb. Caleb Kinsey has also been charged with making a false statement during the purchase of a firearm, as well as possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Are you surprised to hear that one of these two psychopaths is indeed a convicted felon? We're told that if they are found guilty, they face up to 30 years in prison. So of course, again, we need to remind ourselves we don't know whether or not they're guilty, but I dare say the prosecution have got ample evidence against them. We see the photos of the house in question. No doubt there was an explosion. There's a connection between one of the two psychos and the female victim. They were in a prior relationship together. Seemingly, Tweedledum and Tweedledee developed their plan by using their mobile phones, their cell phones. So the FBI are going to have access to that. They're going to have the conversations where one of them say, hey, you know what? Why don't we release a large python into the home and it can eat the victim's child? I mean, I don't know. Do these guys watch Jumanji like 24/7 or something? I shouldn't make too light of this subject. It's horrendous. They literally blew up the female victim's home. This isn't a joke. This is serious. Seems like it could be a joke, but it isn't. They literally planned to kill the woman and kill the child. They were going to be scalping the victim if they had the opportunity to. Thankfully, they didn't. Again, nobody was hurt. The female victim and her child had angels looking over them. But of course, they're going to be suffering trauma. There they are. They moved into the home in Richmond Hill, Georgia, literally the day before it was blown up. They survived unhurt. Great. But what a shock to their system. What a shock to their lives. What a disruption. So I do hope that the female victim and her family have been able to recover from this situation. Let's hope that the guilty parties, be that Stephen Glosser and Caleb Kinsey or whomever else, are found guilty and do face a serious prison sentence. 30 years seems about right in my mind. That's pretty much all the information that we have, so I'm going to wrap things up at this point. If you appreciate the coverage, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit, but due to my lack of consistency, please don't join my memberships at this point. I can't make any promises about my consistency. I'd like to be consistent, but it's difficult to find the time and energy, so we'll just see what happens. But thank you for listening. Take care.